Hello, this is Shawn Bataju, and this is week 13 coding assignment for Promineo Tech's backend web development program. Starting this week and for the next few weeks, we'll be creating a web application using Spring Boot framework. We will be creating a Jeep sales app, which will deal with various Jeep models and their sales. Let's get started with what we did this week. The first thing we did was created a Maven project called Jeep Sales. Then we used Spring Initializer to add some dependencies. Specifically, we added the web, DevTools, and Lombok dependencies. We also added a dependency for OpenAPI documentation, which I'll be talking about a little bit later. After that, we created our first class, which has our main method inside com.promineotech.jeep package, and then added the Spring Boot application annotation to let the program know that it's a Spring Boot app. We were supplied with some files through the course, one of which is this jeepschema.sql file, which has our SQL queries to create tables required for this application. The other file, Jeep data, populates the schema with some data. We created the database using MySQL Workbench and created tables and populated data using dbeaver. Next thing we did was created a controller package inside source test Java, in which we created a file called fetchJeepTest, which has our test called test that Jeeps are returned when a valid model and trim are supplied. We also included annotations and respective import statements. Inside the package level class called fetchJeepTest, we have a test REST template object called REST_template and a server port variable. Inside the test method, we have written our test using given, when, and then method. Next, we have our entity package. In that package, we have an enum called Jeep model, in which we have all the models of Jeep. And then we have a class called Jeep, in which we have instance variables using the columns in the models table. And the rest of the files inside the entity package were provided. Inside our test method, we send an HTTP request to the REST using our model trim and then this statement. Then we use assert that statement to check if the response we get is equal to http status.ok, which is 200. We have another controller package inside our source main Java, in which we have an interface named Jeep Sales Controller, which has one method called this Jeep fetchJeeps. We also have all our OpenAPI documentations in this interface. Then we have a class called Basic Jeep Sales Controller, which implements the interface Jeep Sales Controller. So that is all the code that we wrote this week. If we go to our class with the main method and run this as a Spring Boot app, we can see that it starts Tomcat on port 8080. Next, we'll look at our Swagger documentation in our browser. Okay, so here's our browser in which I've typed this URL, localhost port 8080 /swagger-ui/ index.html, and we can see that we have a schema called Jeep, and inside, if we click get, we can see all our response codes, our 4 scenarios, our OK case, if the parameters are invalid, if no Jeeps are found, or if any unplanned exceptions occur. So that's all we have for this week. Thank you for watching.